All right, so I want to go over our audience graph and talk a lot about the layers of how we built this graph and really, what's behind the scenes in terms of the tech. This will be a fairly in-depth video, but if you have any questions, drop them in the comments or, let me know and we don't mind talking about it. So I've got a layout here, and where we're going to start is just this middle bit here, right? We've got this little blue bit, and this is our 270 million profiles. Now, it's actually about probably 280, even closer to 300 million profiles now, but essentially it's like 92% of the US population tracked. Essentially, we track as many people as humanly possible within the United States. There's about 300 to 400 plus parameters per profile. So that's like, name, email, address, income, and this is a accumulation of all this different data coming from online, offline. We deal with aggregators, work with credit card companies, so you're able to have a full 360-degree profile view of a single consumer. Okay, so we do that for 270 million people, and that's the first layer of the graph, is the consumer profiles. Then what we have, if we go up here, is we've got our B2B records, okay, and this is our B2B overlay. So essentially what we have is you've got people at the consumer level, but then what we've got B2B overlaying, and this is company data, right? So what we do is we overlay that with the consumer profiles, and that allows us to see not only what someone's income is, or first name, last name, email, social media, allows us to see like where they work and what companies they work for and what roles they have and stuff like that. So the keyword feed essentially is, it's an accumulation of different aggregators, but what it is all the keyword searches from Bing, Google, and different sessions of data and really just all these different search queries from different sources is compiled every single day. And what we do is we connect it to these 270 million profiles. So I couldn't draw out 1.9 trillion dots, but you can see here, all these little dots here represents keyword searches. So we're looking at, a search somebody actually makes or a website they go to. So it's based on the URL, as in like the keywords in the URL, and it's also based on the keywords that people search in these search engines. Okay, so once we have that, then what we have is we've got our plug and play segments. Now, the reason why I put this in is this is what's called our IAB categories, which stands for Interactive Advertising Bureau. Essentially, this is like a templated plug and play segment of an audience that you can just download right away. Okay, so the reason why I put this in here is because it's harder for somebody to go in and type in a bunch of keywords and not know what they're going to get. Because, let's say for an example, you type in red car. Is it a toy red car? Is it somebody selling a red car? Is it a company called Red Car that's like a branding agency? There's so many different reasons. So that we can make it easier for people, we also have created what we call the plug and play segments. And this is what you'll be able to access right away in the Audience Manager. Then we have the ability to access the direct keyword feed. However, it just requires a bit of training, and you just need to speak to your account manager to see if you have that included in your plan. So this is essentially our audience graph. And what's very cool is you have this huge accumulation of data, which is updated all the time, right? Basically, we have the profiles here, which is based on, actual demographics, so where people live, and it's updated, I would say every 3 months we run it across the National Change of Address consumer database to make sure it's as accurate as possible. Then what we have is we've got the B2B records, and this is similar to the profiles in terms of like how we actually track our company data. And then this here, where we get into plug and play segments and the keyword feed, this is actually updated every 24 hours. Okay, so the best way to look at this is if this moves around. So I'm going to move this here. If this moves, so let's say for an example, this segment here is people that I know are in market for buying a new camera, right? So what it'll do is when I want to download this keyword, it will go and pull all the profiles that hit this segment, okay? But then what happens is 24 hours moves. And then let's say, so we go here, and let's say I type the segment in again, now it's gonna have a completely different segment, even using the same keyword. So this thing is always shifting every 24 hours, these buckets are updating, and this thing is real time. So that is the layout of our identity graph and how we build audiences. I'm going to do another video of how a pixel works, and I'll talk about, how we're plugged into different cookie pools and how we have, different scoring systems we use. But for now, I want to talk about the audience graph. All right, so that's the back end. Let's go to the front end. So the front end, it's a lot more simple than that, right? You don't have to go and, look at billions of records and things like that. It's quite easy to build an audience. So first of all, you can see here we have our IAB categories, right? So the first thing you have when you go to audience size, you got the details section, and this is the IAB categories. So the best way to look at this is to think like, if somebody was in the automotive, in the automotive vertical, right? And they were looking at body styles of cars, and they're looking at commercial trucks in the past 24 hours, that's how you would define that audience. Now, if I type in brand, we can see you've got, like 7-Eleven, right? So this is people that have actually not shown interest, liked a page, but this is people that have actually been on a website that has to do with 7-Eleven, right? This could be the actual website itself, like the 7-Eleven website, or this could be deep in the URL, and it could mention 7-Eleven within the URL and the keywords, okay? So this is all the pre-made segments, and these are fantastic for ads because one, they're big, and two, they're specific enough where it's going to get you a pretty good cost in terms of how you're running ads. Essentially, this is a live feed or ecosystem really that just continually updates, and then this allows you to continually to pull from that, right? So that's an explanation of how we're actually building our graph, and that is the Audience Lab graph. Any questions? Drop me a comment.